Okay. Oops. Oh, I almost hit stop stream for a second. Okay. I don't think there's even a need to. I don't think there's even a need to check because it needs to take a couple seconds or a minute for the stream to start. But yeah, Ace, go ahead. How do you sound?
Check, check, check. How do I sound right now? The mic is not that close to me, so not sure if I'm not loud enough.
It doesn't sound too bad. If you can bring it like just a smidge closer, then that would maybe help.
Okay.
How about you, Ghost?
Uh oh, check.
He's like, he's like, what was the question?
Because I was gonna respond to Ace because
Oh,
the quality wasn't amazing, but the level's fine. But I forgot. I lost track. But yeah, my audio should be good. I'm guessing
you said his quality doesn't sound good.
it's not
Is it
awful,
too
but it's not
echoey or something?
great. Nah, just like pure quality. I don't know how else to
Oh,
say it, but
Oh, make sure you just
um,
talk very clearly and make sure you pronounce everything. And then what about myself? Does the volume or does the audio sound alright? Is the volume at a decent level?
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, okay. I don't think there's too much to um I don't think there's too much to think about beforehand. So I guess if there's nothing that I'm forgetting, just jump right into it. Put the phone to the side so no weird vibrations. I forgot to start in background only. I didn't even have a funky stock image for the week. Um, get rid of this.
Why is my? It doesn't matter, but uh, wait a second. So me and Quest video is mirrored, but Ghost isn't on the YouTube.
Oh, it is. I was about to say I'm not mirrored. This is what's on the side of me. I know because that's on that side and that's on that side.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, but
There we go. Nice stock photo. Okay, but we don't even need that. Okay. All right. So if there's nothing else, then I'm gonna start recording. Let's get into it. Everybody look alive, just like Black Boy said. Okay. We are live. We are recording. All right. Welcome back, guys. Welcome back, everyone, to the Be Warmed and Be Filled podcast. We're back. We're back, and we have not all the guys here, but we have most of the guys, the crew, the boys, although we're not superheroes, the family. We got Ace.
so
We got Ghost.
Yo.
And we have myself, Questlando. Guys, how y'all doing? How y'all feeling?
pretty darn good.
Decent.
And I myself, I'm not feeling too bad either. At time I'm recording, it's pretty much dead in the middle of, not dead in the middle, but dead fall. All the if you live in a New England type territory, all the leaves are basically on the ground. Everyone's grabbing their apple cider Everyone, I hope everyone's staying warm. Trying to get the podcast intro stuff out the way, all that jazz. So, not only do we provide great quality content, we also provide music recommendations. If anyone's in the mood or in the interest of new music, I would implore you to check out the Spotify playlist below with all our song selections of the week. If you're looking for new music, new artists, definitely check it out. Also, after we wrap up the podcast and do a bit of editing, you'll also be able to find timestamps in the description below. If you are a person that you just want to check out specific topics, check out specific timestamps in a video, we provide that. And if you just enjoy shorter content, I would definitely recommend checking out our channel. Go to the videos tab, and you'll be able to find all our cut up topic videos, so you can just consume smaller portions of our content. And as always, of course, we enjoy any and all support, but you guys already know that. So before we get into the actual topics for this week, does anyone have any content recommendations or any warm reviews? Anything that you might have consumed recently, outside of music, of course, shows, movies, books, articles. I have a couple of things myself. So, and if I remember, I'll try to provide the description, a link to them somewhere. So, then this a few weeks ago, it might even be a month at this point, but there was a really, really, really dope Lupe Fiasco interview. I know Lupe Fiasco really does the interviews these days. I think he did. I think he was doing a little bit of promotion, for the new album. But yeah, he did a really dope interview with Angela Yee. And if you ever, I already know Lupe is my favorite artist. But if you ever have any interest in like the history, all of his pretty much the complete story, that was what was really dope about that interview. He basically kind of outlined his entire history from his come up to working with these different labels and all the struggles he's going through. If you know a bit about the history of Lupe, yeah, I think you'd definitely enjoy it because he definitely just breaks down everything, and obviously gives just general game on how artists could maneuver through the industry. I even there is some stuff I forgot, like how was the whole Anon group that helped him get one of his albums released and get off his label. Man, that's crazy. Um, and then one other thing I wanted to come on here and recommend, again, another artist that is doing a bit of promotion because they got an album coming out, I believe. Absol did a recent Tiny Desk performance or concert, however you want to say it. And yeah, I mean, Tiny Desk concerts are pretty much always bangers. But whenever one of my favorite artists is on there, I definitely think it's worth giving a shout out or shout recommendation. Yeah, Absol really killed it. But again, they're all usually pretty smashes. Um, Sorry, checking some stuff. But yeah, that was it for my recommendations. Do you guys have anything?
Yeah. Um. So kind of like a warm review. I took a
Okay.
trip to California last weekend slash beginning of the week.
Nice. What part?
For San Jose,
Got you.
so
Got you.
Northern California. Um, for a colleague's wedding. Um, so I went out there. I flew out Friday, and the wedding was Saturday. That went great. It was my first time meeting the my coworker in person,
Still
but
crazy.
yeah, it was dope to meet him and his family, and also get to mingle with some of my other colleagues that I haven't met in person,
When you
which was
say
dope.
meet, you have to say in IRL, because now
Yeah,
you
in
can
person.
sound
Yeah,
like how are you just meeting in person? Now you're going to their wedding.
yeah, yeah, in person. I work remotely, so um, a lot of my interactions are online, but Um, yeah, that was a great time. Like I said, met some of his family, friends, etc. And had some great food. The family is Pakistani, so some flavors that I wasn't too familiar with, but at the same time, they use like curry and stuff, so it kind of reminded me of Jamaican food in some ways. Um, yeah. So that was Saturday, and then um I Sunday I did some rollerblading. I found a bike path, did some rollerblading, and then Sunday night I went to a concert in Santa Cruz to see Tanuki-chan, which have I already said I saw Tanuki-chan? I
I
think
believe so.
I think I I think I mentioned that I saw them out here a few weeks ago, if not like a month ago
Oh
now.
yeah, I think I do remember this. You took like a selfie with her or something.
No, no, that
Was
was that
it
was
that artist or
that
someone
was
else?
that was Wisp.
Yeah, that
Okay,
was it.
I do
I
remember
maybe
them
I
though.
didn't, cause yeah, I saw Winter pretty recently, but I don't think I mentioned that I saw Tanuki-chan probably like a month ago, and then yeah, I saw them again in Santa Cruz. They were the only artist that was playing out this earlier this week that I was interested in. So that was dope to see them, and they also had a opener named Glixen, which is another shoegaze artist who I had on my like to listen to list, but hadn't really got around to. They have a very like heavy sound, like almost um on the like lower bassier end in terms of heavy. But again, as per usual with shoegaze, like the vocals are, of course, very ethereal and so yeah, I mean it's a typical shoegaze band, but they were dope to see too. Um, so yeah, that was Sunday, and then Monday and Tuesday I worked out of one of our California offices, um, which again, since I'm remote, it's not something I typically do in general. But that was pretty good to again meet some of my coworkers and in person and be able to collaborate in a actual in person environment. Um, and then yeah, flew back Wednesday, so been here since basically since Thursday because I got in like 12 uh yeah around like 12 a.m.
All right, I don't even know your
Thursday
entire
morning.
itinerary, but that's dope. You had a jam-packed weekend. I knew about the wedding. I didn't know you were going to see a show. Was all that planned?
Kind of. It was kind of spur of the moment. I had like looked ahead of time to see if there were any bands I wanted to see, but I didn't really make the decision until the day of, basically.
Yeah, nice. And you got to skate. You can't be mad at that.
Yeah. Yep.
Outside of the
Um.
outside of the wedding, did you eat any West Coast exclusives? We already know you alleged.
No.
We already know you allegedly don't like In and Out. So
Right. No. I didn't eat anything particularly good out there, or special for the West Coast. The stuff that was near the hotel. Um. Yeah.
this has nothing to do with nothing. So don't even listen to me. But um, whenever people go on trips, one of the things that comes to my mind is to ask them, did they eat anything good for that? That's kind of that region specific. And I'm thinking about some of my favorite places, and my favorite places are like I don't know. I'm not gonna say boring. I don't want to slander any of these places, but my favorite places are like East Coast places: Philly, Atlanta, and DC. And I've had really good food in Philly, and I've had really good food in Atlanta. I have not had really good food in DC, and the only reason why that's even anything worth even mentioning is because I'm pretty sure what's the homeboy's name? Keith Lee. When he went to DC, he had a terrible experience, and in DC, all the DC restaurants were pissed off at him. And now I'm just trying to put two and two together that DC might not be just known for their food, which has nothing to do with nothing again. But dang, it'd be unfortunate if that was the case. Anyway,
Yeah.
sorry. Oh, this yeah, that sounded like you had a dope trip. That was dope tier, and we're glad you made it back. um,
And then, yeah,
yeah, anything
besides
else?
that, I do have one suggestion or 1.5. I caught up on One Piece. And
Like
again,
like
like just to
all of it?
reiterate, yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah, and yeah, just to reiterate, it's like extremely great. I'm a former hater that was completely converted. It's like one of my favorite stories ever now.
You gotta be gassing it. Gotta be gassing it.
No, One Piece is the one thing where it's like people are just genuine.
Yeah,
It's exactly as good as it is. They
I'm
say.
I'm
yeah.
gonna read One Piece one day, and if it's as good as y'all say, I'm not gonna say nothing. I would just keep it to
What?
myself. I'm on my quest now with this because y'all just been gassing it up for so long, and everyone talks about how amazing it is that it's like I'm a hipster when it comes to One Piece now. 'Cause even if I like it, I'm not gonna let y'all know. I'm gonna say it's trash, even if I don't think it's trash.
I mean,
Okay, well, yeah. If you read it, then I'm just gonna know like that you like it. Like, there's no way you won't. So
I mean, some things are just
it's
exceptions to the
fine.
rules. Some things are as good as they say.
Yeah. So yeah, there's that, and then I also started Berserk once I finally finished One Piece. Um,
Berserk.
and of course,
Oh
it
yeah,
deserves every trigger warning imaginable.
yeah.
Like,
You're
it's
better. You're
insane.
you're literally a better man than me.
Yeah. But yeah, for anybody who doesn't know, it's a manga series that follows this character named Guts on like a quest for revenge. It's set in like a medieval era, and it's dark fantasy. Um so I've only read two arcs so far. The first arc, which is kind of a prequel, it's just like 10 chapters. And then the second arc, which really delves into is really when the story begins. Um and for that first arc, it did feel like the story was going to be kind of one dimensional and just like have like, a great dark fantasy vibe, but not have good character work or development or anything like that. But that all like quickly changes once the story gets going. Even in within that first arc, but towards the end, and then when I got to the second golden age arc. Um but yeah, the only thing I can really compare it to, and I don't necessarily want to do this, but it reminds me a lot of Game of Thrones in terms of like, first of all, how dark it is, but also how realistic the setting is, and like just the whole medieval setting, and the organization of the like class structures and things like that. Everything feels um very realistic in those terms. And then the the art within the manga is like mind-blowingly good to me. It's one of those ones where like I it's hard to believe that somebody was able to just for years put out a put out art at such a consistently high level, with such like attention to detail, even in terms of just the armor that the characters wear, the like buildings and settings that are drawn, and of course the action too, the character design, like everything is top notch. um and yeah, story is great. It has some, like I said, once you get past that first arc, some of the character work um is very like it becomes very deep. And in particular, the villain of the story is like one of the most complex but also just despicable villains I've ever read. So yeah, I highly recommend it. Again, if you are prepared for literally every trigger warning you can imagine.
Interesting. Yeah, one. If you like that, I guess you might like. Goblin Slayer.
Okay.
Just to be clear, I'm recommending that to Ace exclusively. That's on my list of series that
That's a crazy
I kind of like, but I couldn't recommend it to other people.
man.
So that's one and two. Um, I'm kind of exposing myself, although y'all don't know, y'all know I don't really care because but obviously I've never seen Game of Thrones. It's dark.
Yeah.
Yes,
So why did it get like unanimous praise and likability?
because it's
Like it
still
was
great, even though it's for dark.
like the average person, like I feel as if like from soccer moms to like old guys at the office were watching that show.
It's that good. I mean,
Yeah.
it's again
It's,
super incredibly dark, but
Some not clicking. Like usually things that are like in
I don't know
once
what to
they
tell you, dude. I don't
once
know
a,
what to tell you. It- it- it's
yeah,
well,
Game of Thrones has like one of the most.
it's either not as dark as you're saying, or
yeah,
No,
it is. Yes, it is.
and or it wasn't as good as people were saying.
no.
At the start, before it fell off, it was as good as people were
There's
saying.
no way the average person is tuning into something that has the type of things that
I don't.
we're saying.
Yeah.
I mean, you say that, but when people talk about critically, like the best shows, series of all time, a lot of them are like fairly dark. I don't want to not like on the level of Game of Thrones, but a lot of these stories are like not happy. Like people like the best
We're
shows
not
of all time,
talking
like The
about things that
Wire,
we're not talking about
Breaking
things that
Bad.
are
Like
like
these are all
serious or graphic in nature. We're talking about you know what. But
Oh, yeah, I mean, nothing. I don't think anything actually touches Berserk in terms of how far it goes that I've seen, including Game of Thrones.
uh
But
one character I think
in Game
specifically.
of Thrones,
Yeah, Theon. His arc, especially in the books, is yeah,
okay, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, 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 I
But
get
I know
you.
some of the stuff that happens in Berserk, and I think overall it does not. It's not on that level.
Yeah, yeah, I get you.
which I honestly I don't know, but I wouldn't believe it to be. I think Berserk is always going to be the leaguer in the song. But no, I was just curious. I don't know anything, so you guys could be on point. My apologies. Is there anything else?
No, that was it.
I have one that I'm curious about. Your thoughts, Ace. Doesn't have to be a whole long thing, but what'd you think about Assassin's Apprentice? I saw you
Oh,
read it today
oh,
or finished reading the first
yeah,
book.
yeah. So I think just like you said, the prose, Robin Hobb's prose is top tier, like very, very good. And just for the listeners, since we didn't actually establish it, so we're talking about Assassin's Apprentice, which is a book. It's a fantasy book. Written what, like the 80s or something.
Like
Um,
90s, but yeah, around
90s.
that
Okay.
time.
Um, yeah, and it follows a character named It's who is a
Does
he's
the character's name ever matter? What's it about? Get to the shits.
yeah, who is he's a bastard son of a prince. Um so yeah, his first book kind of follows his his uh his lessons or how
Did you
development to
did you
becoming
read it?
an
Jesus.
assassin. Yeah,
Sound like the
I'm just
LeBron, the LeBron book summary.
Jesus, like what's going on
yeah,
here?
my fault. um, but yeah, no, I liked it, and it's interesting because I don't think this is another situation where I don't think I was paying enough attention to the book while I listened to the audiobook while listening to it until it got like damn near to the end, and a lot of things pop off like right at the end of the story that recontextualize a lot of the stuff that happens in like the last third of the book. Um so yeah, story wise, like once things started to flip towards the end, that kind of really increased my overall enjoyment of the book. But yeah, if you yeah, for anybody who likes like um top-notch character development, prose, world building, like it's all there. um yeah, I'm hyped to get into the rest of the series now. See where it goes.
Nice. I will say, I think there's like three separate trilogies that are basically one story, but also kind of independent.
Mhm.
The second and third trilogies, Tawny Man and Fitz and the Fool, are, I think, way better than Assassin's Apprentice trilogy, which is still amazing in its own right. But those are the ones that really like made it some of my favorite fantasy of all time.
Awesome.
Just as a note, but curious to see what your thoughts on it were.
Yep.
Fair enough. Wasn't so much a content rec or warm review. It seemed like it was, well, kind of a warm review. It seemed like you just wanted to get someone's opinion on a series. But all the same, maybe we'll inspire somebody to check it out. Is there anything else?
Oh,
Not for me.
Okay, if there's nothing else, we can go straight into the topics. So I need headphones. Okay, let me do this for real quick. Let me come over here, blow this up. The names might be out of order. Yeah, like always. What can you do? Okay. So, starting off relatively light. I'm not sure if anyone's seen this clip or even necessarily the validity of it, but it is amusing nonetheless. So, the little caption, I guess, on the actual video says, "Sis really used our dad's credit card and paid Killer Papers." I'm assuming that's the name of the service, to do her essay, and he found out. Let's play and hear this interaction between this father, as you can already tell, is looking stressed, and his daughter.
That's not the point. You paid somebody to write your paper for you, and you used my credit card.
But it was convenient, and I had homecoming, and I had plans.
That's cheating. You're supposed to write it. You write it. I'm not paying $50,000 in tuition for you to pay someone to write a paper for you. That's not the.
So yeah, like I said, I don't know if y'all saw the clip. Really doesn't mean a lot in the grand scheme of things, but it's kind of interesting. I don't know if y'all ever. I already know the answer. I don't know. Actually, I don't know with one of y'all. I don't know if y'all ever use any of these pay to play or pay to do my paper services or pay to do my work in general. Yeah, pay to win. That's exactly what it is. Services where you get some assistance, if not just straight up just they do your work for you, services. But I definitely know they exist out there, and I definitely I don't know if I ever heard one of my peers say they're using it directly, but I definitely heard through the grapevine them being used. And I forgot what was even the what is the method that schools even use to, like, is there anything schools can do about that?
Well, I don't know what the service is, but there are services now that are like AI, where the AI will write the paper for you, but schools have like fairly good detection software for AI and like
Yeah.
plagiarism specifically. But I think this might be something where an actual person writes the paper. Again, I'm
Yeah.
not 100% sure, but just
Yeah, that's what it
imagining
sounds
she
like
has to
with
pay
the
money for it. They
context.
probably someone wrote the paper for her, and then she just turned it in as her own work.
Isn't that
And
interesting?
that is really there's no way to.
Isn't that interesting? It's almost if you're using AI at this current state in time, you're more likely to get caught opposed to if you see you have someone doing it. And I guess maybe the thing is if someone's just writing a paper and like they're obviously well in theory they shouldn't be as familiar with the subject as you are, so maybe the errors in it will maybe could lead to the teacher or professor finding it out. But if you're doing this as a service, you probably are not bad at it. Although you probably are leaning on some type of AI assistance if you're writing papers. Anyway, without getting into the nitty gritty of it, yeah, I mean, kind of plain and simple. What do y'all think of these like you said, pay to win paid assignment services? Are you guys more so if you got it like that, go ahead and do it? Do you think it's dishonorable? And also, if you were in the pause position, would you feel any way about your child using this type of service? So let's start with you, Ghost. What do you think?
Well, first off, as for like the morality and all that, from a personal perspective, I mean, I've cheated to some extent in college, like
Jesus, come
nothing
right on and say it.
insane,
Yeah,
but
you're gonna just stay here.
I have no shame. But
Don't some
my
schools
extensive
do diploma take backs?
oh, they better not try to take back my diploma. Shit, I'll take back my money. But
Oh, I'm just joking.
I I've like done mostly just like check stuff where like I'll have a homework problem that either I can't figure out or I'm too lazy to do, and
Is
I'll like
Shay cheating? I think we've all
well
bumped into Shay
some
before.
Chegg has some features that you can cheat. Like if you can like have the full on problem solver where you'll put in the problem and someone will answer it for you, but you can like it can be helpful just like if you're stuck to have them walk you through the process. But I mean, in some capacity, the way I used it like was cheating. So I'm not wholly opposed on principle to cheating. However, for one, I can say I've never have and I never would have someone write my essay for me because I guess it's really not a fundamental difference from like homework problems, but it's just it feels like sloppy and lazy. And if I'm gonna cheat, I'm gonna do it in a way that's a little more streamlined than that, a little cleaner than that. And, and for I just can't get behind this in this example because for one, if it's really extenuating circumstances like you work in two jobs and you're getting home at 8 at night and you're like shit I got 2 hours worth of homework or an essay I gotta write, well let me get killer papers or whatever and just pay them to write it for me. That's one thing, but if you like I could just from this little clip you can see just the house that they're living in, this little snippet of the living room, they got money. He is covering her entire tuition costs from what he's saying. She used his credit card to boot. I guess like that's a separate thing, but uh, I and it also I guess it depends on the major too because if you're going into like nursing school and you're cheating on your stuff and you're gonna be taking care of people, I don't know if I really want to trust someone with a fraudulent degree
Mm,
to fix me up. I get that schooling is really not all that matters when it comes to nursing, but or uh, caring for people, health related stuff. But it's a little sketchy. I'm kind of hypocritical because I'm saying that as someone who's an engineer and cheated, admittedly, but that's just it's different. It's different because again, like I said, I barely use anything I learned in school, so it doesn't really matter for me. But I'm kind of getting a little off track. The thing I have a bigger problem with is not just the fact that she used his card to pay, which is a whole nother level of audacity, but there's no regret, there's no remorse, it's like zero accountability.
Because
Like
they don't necessarily see it as a wrong. What did they do wrong?
yeah, the parents are paying for her entire tuition for her entire schooling. So with that in mind, if you're going to school on someone else's dime, it's a lot different cheating than. And again, I did get some help. I'm not saying like I had no help with tuition, but I had two jobs throughout the entirety of college. A good chunk, a bulk of my tuition was paid on my own hands, which means I accept the responsibility of if I fail or if I get caught for cheating, expelled. Versus if I wasn't paying anything and I'm still cheating because I don't want to put in the effort and the work, I'm I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that because it just feels like taking advantage. Like why are the parents even paying the tuition cost if you can't be bothered to learn anything and you're just gonna cheat your way through school? So that's really where the moral ambiguity comes in for me. Plus, again, I keep harping back on it, but using dad's card, not even trying to hide it, is just the audacity is staggering. Yeah, that's how I feel about it.
Well, I mean, obviously, I can't. We can't necessarily speak for the mindset of this person, but I don't know. I can imagine a world in which they feel more emboldened to use their parents' finances to facilitate this type of thing because they're already paying for it all. If you're a relatively well-to-do family, there probably is some level of spoiling. There probably is some level of your parents, you know, took care of the vast majority of your expenses throughout your life. Why would you think they would mind if you're just using this to help further your educational career? What's the problem?
Yeah, that's the type of mental gymnastics that is
I don't think it's
why
much
we should.
gymnastics. I think that
That's
you're
nah,
just
nah, nah.
walking. You're pretty sure you just walk that line. I don't really think it's you have to bend over backwards to get to that.
At the end of the day, why are they paying for your tuition?
Well,
In my mind,
and the
it
crazy
is
part is, and this is kind of why I want to start with you, because not to out you, but I know you do have some level of aversion to the higher education system. Um, it's, I'm pretty sure their mindset could easily be one of that. Hey, I'm paying to obviously learn to some extent, but what I'm paying to is to get my degree so I can be a part of the working force. If that's their plan. I'm not necessarily the cost of me to actually do all this work and go through the rigmarole of a class where I'm writing essays. What's the problem?
uh, now that you say it like that.
Oh my gosh! Look, is that all I said?
Too
That's all I
easy.
said.
Well, okay, I'm speaking from a parental perspective.
Yeah, that's probably what I was
You're
asking.
paying for your
If you have
child
if you have a kid,
to learn and to go to school to learn.
that's what you're gonna. That's what you are going to instill in your kids.
I'm not talking about for me. I'm talking if I was right.
I'm asking you. If this
But
was your kid, how would you
I
feel?
think it's different. It's different because most people don't feel the way I do about college in general and think that it's
Well,
a lot of
okay.
it is useless. I'm saying
What is your general idea of what you're going to instill in your
from a
children?
general perspective of what a normal parent would view their child's going to college for is to learn enough and get knowledge in a field to get a degree. And I agree with that. I don't agree with like college as a whole and a lot of the practices, but at the end of the day, that is what you kind of the goal of college. You need to learn enough to get a degree. It's not just about getting only the piece of paper and that's it.
So what if they turn
So,
around? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
so I was just gonna say to kind of answer your question about if they cheat on all their exams or all their essays because it's kind of pointless and it's not really furthering their ability to get the degree if they cheat versus actually doing the work themselves. I'd push back on that a little and say you still need to you need to have some knowledge of how to get things done, even if the knowledge
Pay
itself
for it.
is. Say it again.
You said they need to have knowledge how to get stuff done. Pay for it.
I mean, you are right. Like life at the end of the day is pay to win, but
You
No,
won't always have the money.
no, you can be.
for one,
You can skill base it through life. You can luck base it.
you
through life.
can, but like it's like when you're playing a game, you can use your skill to grind to the top. But if you pay in a win, it's 10 times easier.
This is true.
You
You
have
can
to
get
have the
same
money.
results. Yeah, you do have to have the money, and for one, if you're just she's relying on her dad, she's not going to have that fallback,
Right.
which is one thing. But like, it's if you pay for everything, even if you do have the money, you will have the money for the rest of your life. Yes, your life will be on easy mode, but there are certain key personality traits and aspects of like bettering yourself as a person that you can learn from having to struggle and having to put in the effort versus just straight up paying for it. And that's like the main thing where I would push back and say if if you're just paying for everything and you have no guilt at all for just taking your parents' money, because at the end of, if that's really what you're gonna do, if you're just gonna pay for everything in life, why are you even going to college? Like, what's the point of you being there? Why are they paying for
To get
her
the
to
degree.
go? But what's the point of the degree if you graduate and you're still going to be paying for anything regardless?
Well, I don't think anyone expects to live off their parents forever.
Well, this is the logic here, right? Where like if you just get the piece of paper for the degree, what's the difference? And you don't learn anything. What's the difference between if you went to college or you didn't go to college? Because sure, you can
Because the
get a
paper is the
degree,
difference maker.
but if you don't know how to do anything, sure you might be able to get a job initially with the degree, but you're not going to be able to keep it, and you're not going to be able to.
You don't think there are some people that BS their way to college, got the degree, didn't know a lick of knowledge in their respective field, still landed a job and BS their way to the top because while they don't have technical knowledge, they have network and or interpersonal skills that allow them to thrive in the corporate and or just workspace in general.
Yeah, there are definitely people like that, and some of it is just you might not thrive in a school environment, but you're great at social engineering. Some of it is just you literally are pure nepotism and just paying your way to the top, and you don't have to put in any work in your life. Congratulations. But
I don't mean to say it like that.
I mean, it's true what you said, but a lot of people, I wouldn't say that's the case for everyone, even if you do come from money. And there are a lot of cases where, in the situation where they do get the job accepted and they don't have a lick of really skill in the field at all, they will end up getting fired or let go because the connections they have, the money they have, isn't enough to offset just how bad they are. So I think if you're if you are able to make it to the top with every single factor of you know nothing but you are connected for everything, that's great. But if you aren't in that 1% of the 1%, then you're gonna be screwed in life down the line. And that should kind of be the goal of what you don't want your children to do. If you're a parent, you don't want them to screw themselves because they were too lazy to put in the work and you were too lazy to enforce it.
Mm. Yeah, it's a lot of game you just said there. I can't lie. But fair enough. Um, How about yourself, Ace? What do you think of a student making use of some of a service like this? Do you think it's all fair in school and war, or you think this is some low down, dirty, dishonorable activities? And what would you think of if you're if it was on your dime?
Um, so yeah, just like my general thoughts towards other people that do these things, I really couldn't care less. Um, if other people got my degree and they didn't do a lick of work, I guess my only concern would be that they engineer a bridge that uh collapses because they don't know anything. But other than that,
You know what
yeah, I don't
sucks?
care.
What not to go into a whole like regulations thing, but what would be the punishments for some of these things? What would be the consequences? Because like
Uh,
you look. No offense, and I obviously do respect the company in some regards. You look at like Boeing that just has issue after issue. Does, do those structural engineers did they get fired?
This possible. Like you can be sued, you can have your license taken away, you can potentially face criminal charges, but it depends on like the findings. Like there's investigation similar to any other type of situation, where if you're found liable, those things can happen. But I think it's typically very rare for an engineer to be found criminally liable, especially if not even just like negligent in terms of losing their license. I don't think that's something that happens too often.
I believe it.
Yeah. Um but yeah, just in general, like I don't really care how people get where they get to in life. Um More just focused on myself. Um but then yeah, if this was my own kid, the first thing I would be upset that they were paying because in the age of AI that we have now, there's really no need to pay if you're gonna cheat.
Jesus Christ.
Are you kidding me? That's
There's
something I would
absolutely
say.
no reason to pay.
But we know the paid AI service and the paid services are a little sharper. That free AI sometimes be
Yeah, I mean,
tweaking.
it's definitely gonna be better. Bro, you put too much faith in AI. Like again, they have detectives out there.
Nah,
AI is not infallible. It's not.
nah.
I've
I
seen the
mean,
shit
yeah,
AI
you
writes.
got to do
Easy to tell.
sure you have
Easy
to
to
do a
tell.
little bit of extra work, but do not
She
pay.
doesn't
Like,
want to do any work. That's the whole problem here.
We don't
well,
know
we're talking about
what work they put in to kind of make it their own. But
yeah, and we're talking about my opinion. This is just my opinion as me, a hypothetical parent. If you're in my house, you're gonna let AI do your work. No, I'm just
Jesus Christ.
kidding. um, so the paying thing, I do like. I do think that would be annoying to me, but also, um, more seriously, like I would be concerned that what they're cheating on is or I should say, whether what they're cheating on is something that I think they should be doing themselves, or I think doesn't really matter in the long run. So, um, would be like, okay, you're going to school for engineering, but you're taking a art history class. Like, I don't really care if you cheat your way through the art history class.
Okay. So you see the
There's
nuance to things.
yeah. But now if you're, like using a service like Chegg, on your engineering classes, then I'm gonna be like, nah, like you have to make sure you
But
know this
we
stuff.
have a working example of how it can be fine with no issues. You cheat your way
I
through
mean,
engineering.
you're right. Like it's not even guaranteed that if they're using Chegg, it's
Filter check.
it's problematic because um like you said, having something to be able to go through go through a solution to a problem step by step, if you're stuck on it, does can be extremely helpful and is extremely helpful. I'm not even going to say can be. But at the same time, like there can be a point where you're just completely relying on it um and not actually learning the material. So I don't necessarily know how I would verify that. Mm, Besides just testing them myself.
Jesus.
but but yeah, that would definitely be my concern, like making sure that they're not shooting themselves in the foot by cheating on stuff that they should actually be learning.
Yeah, I get it. Actually, I it does create more work on the parents that or on the, whoever is like facilitating or like managing things. But I actually do subscribe to like looking at the nuance of things. I think there are some areas in life or areas of education in which using resources and tools isn't the worst idea. Because now this is a more mental gymnastic argument. What's the difference between using some paid service or like working with like your classmates and hey, how about you work on like 2 pages of my paper and I'll help you with
Oh,
this thing.
I mean,
You could get really crazy with how you view some of these things. But
yeah.
but yeah, I mean I think at least in my opinion, maybe you guys see different. Moral story here is it's understandable that people, humans are always going to try to take the path of least resistance, get where they can by easiest means possible. But you definitely have to be conscious that you're not um, just like finding loophole through loophole in life. Because kind of to what you were saying, goes, you do have to understand the material to a certain extent, or because when it's time to actually showcase, like imagine if this is one of those papers or assignments where you have to actually go and present it, in front of a class or in front of a group. You'll fall flat on your face once you can't really speak to the material all too well. So yeah, you definitely want to be mindful of how much you're just paying your way to the top. You do have to be able to lean on your own knowledge and resources. But I'm be honest, in this day and age of AI and all these resources that like even Chegg was kind of like a I don't want to say outdated system is an outdated system by today's standard, but I just can easily imagine like you can just plug anything into some type of search function and you get the whole answer. Like the Quizlist back in the day, I feel as if that's probably increased like tenfold. But I digress. Salute to all the hardworking students out there. There's nothing else. We can go on to the next topic.
Wrong link. Oh, why it just tried to log me in as you?
All right. So I don't know if y'all heard about this, but first of all, salute to all you know, salute to Jason Lee. Speaking of schools, so California. Speaking of which, um, they're always leading the way for innovations for technology and for safety and for new policies. So the implementation of a new QR code policy at a high school in California has raised concerns among students due to privacy issues. The policy, introduced at the start of 2024 or 2025 school year, mandates that students scan a QR code with their phones before using the bathroom. Huntington Beach as Huntington Beach as a way to track whereabouts better. However, many students feel that it infringes on their privacy. According to Fox 11, students are frustrated because they have to scan a code to use the bathroom. Nonetheless, some students believe the policy can prevent others from skipping class or wandering the halls. Oh, interesting. There's some videos, so we'll take a listen to more about it and what the students feel about it.
being rolled out at a high school in Orange County. Students there actually have to download an app and scan the code anytime they want to leave the classroom.
Now, that includes going to the nurse, the library, or the bathroom. Not everyone is embracing the new policy. NBC4's Amber Frias is live from Huntington Beach with reaction from Edison High School. Amber.
Annabelle, Colleen, this new policy started this new school year, and most students aren't too happy about it. They say it's unfair and an invasion of privacy. Students against this policy even started a petition. These days, QR codes seem to be popping up everywhere, from restaurants to parking spaces, and now even high schools.
You go to like check in, you click scan, and then you scan the QR code like in your class.
At Edison High School in Huntington Beach, administrators have implemented a new policy. Students must scan a QR code posted in classrooms when they need to leave for reasons like using the bathroom.
So, it's like we're saying, a QR code system for going to the bathroom back in the day. Back in my day, all you had to do was raise your hands. Did you guys have bathroom passes? Or was that some cartoon shit?
In elementary school.
Really? Interesting. You just have to raise your hand and, ask go to the bathroom. And even having that conversation, it's kind of ironic, or not ironic, but just the when you're far removed from it, it's kind of funny. But just the system of having to ask to use the bathroom in a world in which you could actually potentially be denied. But yeah, but these days they're trying to implement new things. From my understanding, all for the sake of safety. But QR codes. Let's see what the students have to say.
To like scan out with our phones, and like you have like 5 minutes to come back, and you can't bring your phone to the bathroom.
When they return, they scan the same QR code again. Principal Daniel Morris told the OC Register the new guidelines are to ensure the school knows where students are in case of an emergency. But the policy has caused quite a stir among students.
The kid feels kind of bad. Like, I got to scan a QR code. I got a limited amount of time.
I don't like it because I feel like I can't I don't know, like if something were to happen and I'm in the bathroom, I don't have my phone or anything on me.
Some students are pushing back, even starting a petition to remove the QR codes, saying the policy, quote, goes against the government's duty to protect the health and safety of students, end quote. Parents, however, have mixed reactions.
I understand maybe why they want to do that, because maybe some people are taking advantage of it. But the other side of it, I think some people might have I don't know, anxiety or social, just some kind of anxiety.
Damn. Have anxiety because you have to because you have to do the QR code. Anyway, so yeah, that's the basic premise. I think we all kind of understand exactly what's going on here. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think this maybe too much to deep dive here. Kind of just in case you missed it, but obviously whenever you see these innovations in the way of things that they're implementing in schools, it's always kind of a eyebrow raiser to whether you think it's a productive or a viable strategy or something that's worth implementing. So I'm just kind of curious to know what you guys think. What do you guys think of this type of policy that they're implementing? Do you think it does make sense for what they're trying to accomplish as far as just kind of keeping track of students and making sure they have a good grasp where everybody's at and where everybody should be? Do you think are you on their side where it's kind of an invasion of privacy? So it's Cardi B. What would y'all have thought about something like this if y'all were in school at that time, and they had this type of rule in place? What do you think, Ace?
Overall, I don't really see this as a problem overall. The concerns about privacy, I don't even really get. Student doesn't need, or scanning a QR code doesn't increase their privacy. It just says that they've left the classroom. So you're in school. I don't think.
Well, I mean, it takes away from the privacy because they know they probably have a semblance of where you're going.
Do they? I didn't get that from the thing. I just thought it tracked how long they were out of the classroom. But yeah, maybe it does. Maybe it does say, or
Fair
maybe there
enough.
is some indication of where they're going to. But
Fair enough.
still,
I
like,
just mean all it's keeping track in a sense. It's in a sense keeping track of your whereabouts, and you could argue that
yeah,
takes away from your in general privacy.
yeah. But I mean, I just don't think like privacy should in particular be a concern. Like, if you're going to the bathroom, yeah, if you need to go to the bathroom, you say you're going to the bathroom, you should be going to the bathroom. So if you don't go to the bathroom, there's a problem. I mean, not necessarily a problem, but like, why, like, so
Well,
why didn't you do what you said you were going to do is a, it could be a potential problem.
I know we're a bit removed, but come on, you remember back in the day where you say, "Hey, let me go to the bathroom," but then you stop by your homeboy class, peek in, see what he's doing. You might see Shorty in the hallway. You gotta chop it up with her for a sec. You might, I don't know, if you have a school that has like a vending machine, you might stop at the vending machine, grab a Gatorade or whatever in the vending machine. You might like going to the bathroom. You're not just going to the bathroom and coming back. You kind of take a little break, right?
No, first of all, no, I did not do any of that when I was just going to the
Come on, that's
bathroom.
cap.
But no, but like I guess I can kind of see your point, but at the same time, like, you're in school because you're supposed to be learning and doing the things,
Come on,
yeah, doing the
come
things
on,
that
Grandpa.
hey, that's what it is. Like, if you don't have time to go stop by your buddy's class and all this stuff, like, that's, I don't see that as a huge like detriment to the kid's life. Like, it's fine. Now you can only go to the bathroom, come back to the class. And I would assume, like, if there are any extenuating circumstances, that would be taken into account. So I guess, like, we can get into my potential gripes now. So if this is implemented as a like strictly rigid system where, say, there's a certain time limit that you have to be out the classroom, and if you exceed it, like, you're immediately reprimanded, get detention or something, or if there's like a limit to the number of times you can go to the bath, or be out the classroom, and again, if there's like immediate reprimand if you, regardless of the reason, if you exceed, then I think um you definitely get into hot water because you know if there's a kid who whatever just drinks a lot of water, or a kid who has some health concerns that requires them to um um take multiple trips to wherever, the nurse or the bathroom or whatever, um you are definitely getting into hot water in terms of like, I don't know what freedoms this would be called, but you're infringing on something. um so I guess in the rigidity of how this QR thing is implemented, that's where it can become a problem. Um so with the school saying like their overall goal is to um track the students' whereabouts, and basically, like, in case of an emergency, um I would think that there would be uh some like leeway in terms of those things, like if there's any limits or anything like that. Like, it wouldn't be just an immediate detention, it would be something like, well, um there's an understand like this the teacher, if the teacher doesn't flag it or something like that, then the student is not at risk or anything like that. But that's my only concern with it. um I think that's it. Yeah, other than that, I don't think I have any issues. Yeah, I don't think I have any issues.
And that would suck. You get detention because the QR you didn't punch in the QR code. Damn.
Right.
Fair enough. Fair enough. How about you, Ghost? What do you think of this type of policy? Do you think it in general makes sense? Would you be pissed off if you had to do the QR punch in, punch out back in the day?
Honestly, no. Like all this stuff about privacy and I guess like pretty much what Ace was saying in that I don't think it should be used to track students necessarily. Like there shouldn't be a time limit enforced. There shouldn't be a location on the app or anything. It should just be kind of like just similar to like a time card where you punch in certain time, punch out at a certain
Dude,
time. If it's
there's
discrepancy,
no way they don't keep track of location. If it's all app,
well,
I can imagine it's like you do you say where you're going, you do the QR code, and then the clock starts ticking.
yeah. Well, I mean, if it's tracking location, then it's I'm not for it. But if it's just literally just
What is the
QR
point of
code,
what is the point of the implementation if you're not tracking the?
the point of it in my mind and what it should be for is I mean, the real reason for this administration is talking about in event of an emergency. No, it's because kids are bad. That's really what it boils down to. And
Facts.
if something happens in the bathroom, something gets vandalized, if something gets stolen from another
In
classroom,
this day and age, if they're assembling their AR magazine
yeah,
and drum,
if something crazy is going on, then you can look at a database. Okay, who punched out or used a QR code at X time, who left, and then just look at the time frames between whatever the deed happened when the QR codes are punched, and use that to narrow down your suspects. That is what I think it should be
But you
used
could still do that in an emergency too.
for. Well, I mean, I I don't get what
Like emergency goes on, and you immediately have the ability to check which kids were or logged as in class and versus out, so you know at least.
Yeah, I
think
mean,
you think a
saying that you
teach
can't,
you
it
think a
doesn't have
teacher
functionality
that
in an
has
emergency.
wait, are you
But
saying when you say emergency, are you saying without the use of the app?
With it.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I'm not saying that there's no functionality for an emergency too. I'm not saying that, but the real purpose is, I think, for what I was is because kids are bad, and I don't think that location tracking, live location tracking, should not be implemented in an app like this because it is pretty big, uh, pretty big infringement on privacy when you factor in the fact that the kids are not always at school. They're not always going to have that app
Who
on,
says
or
who says it's on outside of the school?
if it's an app on the phone and it's tracking location, then it's going to be tracking the location at all times.
I don't, and I guess without
How
knowing
would it
this,
not? I don't.
Only when it's active. Like say the QR code is the only thing that can activate the location
Okay,
tracking.
well, all right. If that's the case, then sure. I'm I'm not really hung up on the gripes of that as long as it's not any egregious infractions. But all the other stuff about anxiety, bro, it's we had to do, well, we didn't have to do, but they had the stupid hall passes that you mentioned. They had hall monitors back in the day. They had all this
Yeah,
stuff.
hall monitors. Yeah.
I've never seen a hall monitor
This
IRL. Knock it off.
like in lieu of that stuff, the QR code, it is what it is. It's implemented and it should be used so kids have there's some level of accountability when kids do BS that they might think twice about doing it because they can get busted. At the end of that, that's really what it's for, and I don't have a problem with it as long as it's not implemented in a crazy way.
Fair enough. Yeah, I don't think there's anything that illustrates that off the clock when you go home or outside of the school, the school is keeping track of you. Obviously, maybe without knowing some of the hard fine details, it does make a difference. But I think it's literally just while you're in the confines of the school, if you want to go to the bathroom, if you want to go to the nurse, all the other places that they said, you have to punch in QR code, say where you're going, and then the timer starts ticking. But who knows? Getting a little conspiracy theory on you guys, because you guys seem to not really care, and that's really, to be honest, I think most parents probably wouldn't have a big deal about this. What if reason with me now, the government came in and said, hey, this is not a bad idea. How about we make it so whenever you leave your house, whenever you want to leave your house, you do a little QR punch in, punch out, just so we have a general idea of where everyone's up to, what everyone's up to. Are you going to the bank? All right, let us know. Y'all still cool?
If there's a QR code on the bank door.
No, on your house door.
For
Oh.
one,
Instantly now.
What do you mean?
you're acting like the government can't track you now if they wanted to at any point.
That
with
is
your phone.
very true.
With
Hey,
the
we're
cloud.
actually that's actually gonna segue into the next thing. But yeah, to be honest, in this day and age, and going back to the thing of like keeping people out of trouble, I think even though it is a pain, it can be a pain. That's really what it boils down to. I think there are just so many ways in which people can, left to their own devices, can get themselves in trouble in times of emergency or trouble. I think it does. I think we'll always look at like if this can prevent something, or if it can identify what's going on in the situation. I think people will look at it as a net positive. But yeah, I could obviously understand that being a student, whenever they implement new rules in school, it's always a pain. Like back in my day, they implemented uniforms in my like public school system, and they literally said, we're trying to curb students wearing certain colors representing like gangs and stuff, and like it was like a pain in the butt to have to wear specific things, but dang, you do it for a couple of years and it's just a part of your way of life. So yeah, maybe years from now if they keep rolling out stuff like this, it'll just be a part of school, like just how people interact with schools. But yeah, no, I get it. Young students and kids are always gonna think stuff is just a pain in the butt. Yeah, I get it. But if there's nothing else, we can go on to the next topic.
Forbes. Golly, this ad banner is massive.
So you got your ad block on. So how do you even start? So I'm sure most people have heard about it by now. And it's really kind of crazy. It seems like this year has been the year of just high profile hip hop related cases, trials, things being exposed. It's really there's a lot of legal involvement in hip hop. It's almost like it's been a shakedown. And in the most recent example of this, we have Lil Durk, Chicago rapper, probably one of the most, in this current day and era, one of the most prevalent artists out of Chicago, currently facing an alleged murder for hire case. Holy. So I'll just read a bit of this. This is from Forbes, but obviously this story's been broken in pretty much every platform and outlet has picked it up. Chicago rapper Lil Durk is in federal custody following his arrest last week on a murder for hire charges in connection with an alleged plot to target the rapper Quando Rondo, who appeared to respond to the arrest over the weekend in a new song. Interesting enough. Scroll down a bit. Just want to kind of get some highlights again. I think everyone's pretty much familiar with this, but in case you're not, Lil Durk 32, whose real name is Durk Devontae Banks, is in federal custody following his arrest for murder for hire charges Thursday. Earlier Thursday, 5 men whom prosecutors allege have ties to Lil Durk, Only the Family, OTF, rap collective, were co-conspirators in the 2022 murder for hire plot, were also arrested in Chicago and appeared at Dirksen U.S. Courthouse, the Chicago Tribune reported. An affidavit filed in federal court based on testimony by FBI agent, the little FBI is covering this case, Sarah Cochran, states Lil Durk was placed a bounty on Quando Rondo's life, citing unnamed witnesses, and that flight tickets purchased to carry out the murder for hire were made with credit cards linked to Lil Durk's and Only the Family. Oh my God, he used the label credit cards. The plot was hatched as retaliation for the 2020 murder of Lil Durk's colleague and friend, rapper King Von. According to the affidavit, Lil Durk attempted to flee the United States prior to his arrest. He tried to get out of Dodge. According to the U.S. District Attorney's Office in the affidavit, which states he had 3 flights booked to Italy, Switzerland, and Dubai, but did not board any of them. So, I mean, the crazy part is, if you are familiar with Durk's music, this is not really all too surprising.
Let's move on.
This is definitely one of the artists that's probably one of the, for better or for worse, most authentic artists. Definitely rapping about his raps are very reflective of his real life. Now, obviously, in kind of getting to the topic, because we're not here to just report news. I think the way, and I think we've had I know we've had conversations about this before. I think the way we kind of, I don't want to say rationalize, but look at some artists that are they're making whatever you want to call it, street music, gang music, murder music. It's either they're either removed from it or they are rapping from the standpoint of, hey, this is what I've been through, or this is what I experienced or witnessed in life. But I'm speaking on it from a you don't want to be involved with this type of life. And I think with that perception, I think we can consume this type of music. We can enjoy it, digest it, however you want to say. But this, and speaking for myself, like personally, I really really enjoy Drake's music. Like some of his prior albums, I play almost every day. His records are definitely my rotation. But looking at the recency of this, it really starts to, and maybe you guys or just people in general are desensitized. Like maybe this is kind of not surprising. And again, I'm not saying surprising that this could happen. More so, I think once as recent as this is and as real as this is, because this article didn't specify this thus far, but just to give you more detail. So, like they said, it's alleged that Durk was involved in a murder for hire case in which he literally flew, or he put a bounty on Quando Rondo. He flew affiliates out because the Quando Rondo was in California, so he flew affiliates from Chicago to L.A. and they got weapons, they got all the things we need to commit a murder. They tracked Quando Rondo, followed him, and they tried to do a hit on him. And obviously, as we know, Quando Rondo is still alive and well, but they did kill one of Quando Rondo's close friends. I think it's actually his literal cousin. So they did, like you said, they slid and they did actually catch somebody. So this event did result in it didn't result in a murder, and not only that, it was in broad daylight. Like this was in a super populated and condensed part of LA. I think it occurred like at a gas station. Again, at a relatively how should I say, like it's a populated and dense area. And again, it resulted in somebody's life. So when you kind of look at that and you take it back to, I don't want to start. I mean, I'll get a bit rambly. When you look at that, and you look at conjunction to the music, how it is very like, hey, we sliding tonight, and we're trying to catch somebody. It really, at least for me, it does kind of make you just kind of sit back and be like, oh, okay, so this is what we're really doing. So I guess in general, kind of just looking at this entire thing, how it all kind of played out. I'm just kind of curious to hear what you guys kind of think of this entire, dichotomy and just the entire ordeal, in a sense, and just what, like, based off this, like, you take an artist that's literally like living off their raps and, committing actions that is resulting in people's lives. Like, what do you make of it? Do you think? Can you still what's the expression they always say, like, detach actions from the artist and the art, or as it gets more real, does it start to affect the way you would perceive and even interact with the art? Does that make sense? What do you think, Ghost?
I think it does for me to an extent. Like I'm not really a big Durk fan in general, but just from a broader standpoint, if it was just an artist that I did like and they're glorifying all type of stuff in the music, and turns out that it's actually true, and they did do it all, I probably would look at them differently, and
Scroll a bit, Ace.
in some respects, I probably listen to them less.
All right there.
So, I mean, I think it does matter because, like, for me, I don't really listen to like trap or some or rap like that just straight up like glorifies uh violence just straight up. Like, I definitely listen to rap that has it as I don't want to say a theme, but it definitely comes up. But it's not really like just straight up like, yeah, I did this and I'm proud of it. It's more so like it happened. This is how life is growing up this way. So I think that does matter. The intent of the message being sent out, and there are some features that Durk specifically is on that I like his verses, and he's talking about stuff similar to this. So like, a lot of the times, like when I'm listening to music like that, rap like that, I'm not really listening to it for like introspective reasons, or I'm not like dissecting every single verse, every single word. There are times when I'm listening to music and I'll hear something that's just straight up like egregiously malicious, and it's too much. Like, we don't. I don't need to be or have that or listen to that because it's just like kind of gratuitous at that point. It doesn't really serve any purpose for me. I just kind of look at it like, are you seriously just saying this stuff? So knowing again what Durk's about, and I listen to him very little, so I don't know what his songs like are typical songs are like, how he operates. I guess now we do have an idea of how he operates based on these charges, but it would make me think twice or listen twice, I guess, not in a good way. If I'm listening to a song that he's on, he says something, then I might look at it a little sideways and not be with it. But yeah, I for me, it's again because I don't actively listen to stuff where it's glorified or gratuitous. It wouldn't impact my enjoyment of the media too much, but I would say like I would definitely feel a certain type of way about letting my if I had kids in the future, letting them listen to Durk or other artists that are actively involved in this than I would have otherwise.
Depending on the age, I don't think young kids should listen to.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's regardless of if he does.
Regardless, it was pure fanfic. Yeah, and I definitely understand what you're saying. One thing that comes to mind, I definitely like to look at it in a general sense, and not just make hip hop look like the evil genre. Do you think you would apply that to? Although I say that, but the example that comes to mind is probably something that's more represented in hip hop. But on a different subject, what if it was like an artist that they were rapping about like drug uses on some like Danny Brown, 3 6 Mafia type joint, and do you come to find that they're really indulging that like Full Sail? Is that would that be a similar would that give you a similar perception of it, or is it specifically because of the heinousness of what they're talking about?
Um, yeah, I think it's more so just like the if you're talking about killing someone, it's a lot different than self-inflicted drug use or bad drug habits that I don't
Okay, what if they're
condone or
talking?
can't
Okay, what if
relate
they're
to.
talking about selling? What if they're on some Griselda type stuff, and then it comes out
Yeah, like
they really are moving it.
yeah, like some like Push T for example.
Push a T.
It's the thing like the qualifier for Pusha is that he raps about it in every single song, but it's more so from a perspective of I've done it in the past.
Yeah, he's far removed
And
from it.
yeah, so that does impact things. Whereas if he was actively friggin' Avon Barksdale,
Jesus.
yeah, that's gonna be a different perspective. Like literally, like earlier today, I listened to Illmatic and New York State of Mind's a whole track about a whole lot of crazy shit going on, but it's not really told from perspective of Nas is actively doing this and proud of it. Just like how things are. So that again, it does impact how I.
I don't know. He made Illmatic at 18. He wasn't too far away. I'm just joking.
Yeah, but it's just it's different. It's not glorified in my opinion, at least, or the way I perceive it. So
yeah,
it makes a difference for me.
I was on a whole different level. The way he talks about like these aspects of like real street shit it was all done so masterfully. But yeah, sorry, keep going.
That was basically it. So like for drug stuff, I don't really care. If it's selling, it's different. But it's just more so how detrimental is what you're doing to other people, black community in general, versus if you talk about your own self-destructive habits. I'm like, damn, sucks for you. But
yeah, I was trying to think how, like for alternative, for example, this could manifest itself. And obviously, you can obviously make a alternative song. Think you make a shoegaze song about sliding and doing street shit.
You wouldn't be able to understand the lyrics.
I'm pretty sure
it could be fire, to be honest. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
There probably are some shoegaze songs where the content is like a bit I don't want to say this again. It is a bit kind of like touchy, sensitive subject, but because it sounds so not soothing, but because it has that sonic sound, you just glaze right over it, or gloss right over it, rather.
Yeah, I think My Bloody Valentine literally has a couple examples off the top of my head.
But all the same, how about yourself, Ace? What do you think of this sentiment of like consuming an artist that what they are rapping about, what they're talking about is reflective of reality, and the things that they're doing are, like Ghost said, they are harmful in nature to others. Does that make you want to take a step back from that kind of content, or do you completely detach the art from the artist or the art from IRL? Not completely, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I think it's definitely not a one size fits all situation. It depends on, it depends on the crime. It depends on, how heinous the crime is. Again, just like Ghost said, whether it affects others versus self-inflicted, all these things play in. And yeah, depending on those factors, I may be inclined to stop listening to the artist versus continue listening to them. For Durk here, for example, I only have one Durk song that I really like, and even though of course he's talking some street stuff in it, I'm not inclined to stop listening to it. Which I don't know, like if I had a hard and fast rule that, if the artist is involved with murder, I will stop listening to them altogether, then it would make sense that I would stop listening to this particular song. But I don't have that hard and fast rule, and I'm just not inclined to stop listening to the song. So that, I guess that's just to say, like, I don't, it's not something that I generally think too hard about. It's just something that it's kind of like a gut thing. Like if I'm inclined to stop, I'll stop. If not, I won't. And then, but yeah, there are definitely artists who um have done criminal things, whether or not that's in the music, um that I'm just never going to listen to their music again. Like the best example
Out there, I know what you're gonna
slash like worst is the singer from Lost Prophets. I can
Yeah.
never
Oh
listen
my
to Lost Prophets again.
god. Oh,
Never.
that's yeah. Oh my
Never.
god.
And I would say like don't even look it up if you don't know it. It's not worth it.
That's
Just
crazy how that's
don't
like
listen.
literally
Now
like
I'm very curious.
that's the basic. Yeah, you can't say that because then people will do it. That's the basic example
Yeah.
in my mind too. That's literally the basic example.
Yep. So yeah. Yeah, so that's just to say like there are definitely artists I'm not gonna listen to anymore, but it's truly just on a whim thing. Like it's a gut thing. It's not necessarily something I'm thinking critically about every day. The things that Go said, like, if it's in their past, or if there's like plausible deniability where there's no evidence that they're doing these things, I can kind of, it helps to be able to justify, but at the same time I'm not really trying to justify. I'm just, when I listen to music, I'm just listening to the music. I'm not digging into the artist or anything like that per se.
You know what's interesting? I think for the most part, I am on the same type of time as you. I don't necessarily have a full system. Maybe I'm a bit more rigid. In the sense that, some degree, it is kind of like a. I don't want to say it. I mean, the best way I can draw it, it's like kind of like a meme thing. Like, it's kind of like a not pick and choose, but I don't know. There's some artists where obviously not talking about the egregious examples like you mentioned, but there's some artists where I just deem like the quality of music, in my opinion, is not worth the consumption of it. One of the biggest examples being like R. Kelly. Like obviously, yeah, people are gonna say R. Kelly's the girl all day and night, but uh, there's nothing I've ever heard from them that warrants me consuming the content. Um, where it gets a bit kind of murky, and I guess the reason why I say, well, I'm similar, I guess there is a bit more originateness to me because, interestingly enough, I do think due process is a relevant aspect of it. Like in a world in which Durk beats this, I mean, while it might be like an OJ thing where people are going to believe what happened regardless of what happens in court. Um, I think that could be enough to satisfy my mind about it. If the federal if the federal government can't pin this to you, then why am I need to hold my head on that?
So you have like a moratorium. Eddie Dirt comes on. You go skip it for now, but the day that the not guilty verdict comes out,
I know that sounds wild,
Hoping.
and I'll get to my kind of stance on it a bit later, but you're not too far off. Another example that's kind of similar to that is like the Diddy thing. Like I'm on record, I damn near grew up on Bad Boy, not obviously like personally, but I just always remember hearing Bad Boy records on the radio. Um, like More Money, More Problems is like the biggest record in my mind as a kid. But with everything that Diddy got going on, and some of it's already actually come to light, and in 4K we see it, so it does kind of make you take a step back, and in a world in which Diddy gets convicted of some of this stuff, I could see myself weeding out some of the Bad Boy records, which is so incredibly hard because Diddy was involved in so much stuff. Like he just randomly on the Nipsey Hussle album, like just not randomly, but he was so involved in so many artists. Probably one of the most featured artists of all time when you think about it. But yeah, I don't know, and even that, I don't know. I think all things do deserve, or most things do deserve like context, because then there are people that try to make the case of like if stuff is far removed, and an artist or a person just served sentence or their debt to society, does that make it acceptable? If you had like an actor that you enjoyed, obviously we this isn't just a music thing. If you have an actor that you thoroughly enjoyed, but they got caught up in something, but and then they got out of it, or it's like it kind of goes back to like canceling. Like when if someone does something messed up, do you cancel them forever, or is there a time period in which they can serve their time, but get back into good graces? And I guess that's why I don't know. I mean, I'm loading on to you, but maybe that's why you kind of have your view, Ace, because if you really do like, you can get really wrapped up in things that we don't got time for that. We like it's not even our lifestyle to be wrapped up in some of these things, to kind of contextualize every person's wrongdoings to their content, and thinking about that. So I can easily understand how sometimes it just come down to like, hey, if I feel this is not sitting well with my spirit, I'll get rid of it. But otherwise, I'll just kind of roll with it. But yeah. For me personally, like I said, Durk is actually one of my favorite artists, and they definitely get a lot of spins in my playlist and things of that nature. Yeah, I think for the most part, I am willing to just let the people get their due process. Um, if it does come out that this is they always say, like, the federal government, they have a very high rate of conviction. Like, if they get you, then you're pretty much cooked. Uh, so I mean that kind of speaks volumes already. But I don't know. I definitely I don't know. I never have any issues when it comes to like to stepping back from things I'm consuming. Not even because I think it's like inherently wrong on my character, just because I feel if I have a decent level of control of the things I consume, and nothing that I take away from my life is going to alter it all that drastically. Um, but yeah, that's just kind of, it's a personal note. On a more general note, yeah, I definitely think that, I mean, there's you don't need me to come in here and say that crime doesn't pay. um, yeah, at the end of the day, if this when and if it comes out that they were involved with this crime, I mean, yeah, that's all. Like, that's the stupidest thing you could do. Like, you don't achieve success and get away from your environment to still engage in these things. And people are gonna say all up and all day and night that street shit is street shit, and you can't fight it. You gotta take care of it. But this is just a super bad look if it comes out to be the case. But yeah, I was thinking you don't need me to tell you that. There's actually some other more or less egregious examples of like songs and lyrics that I hear from some of my favorite artists that when I kind of sit back, they kind of don't sit with me well. Like there's a Jay Electronica line, and obviously I don't have it at the top of my head, but basically he has a line where like what did he say? I don't want to stall too much. He basically said something to the effect of like, the honorable prophet Elijah Muhammad is my backbone. Like, just referencing like the who Muslim brothers and sisters hold in high regard. And while I enjoy that song, obviously that doesn't align with my beliefs. So it's always it's kind of one of those things where you kind of just center yourself mid verse when you hear that. So yeah, I definitely think that this for me, that type of thinking definitely extends to things that are outside of if somebody's doing stuff that's illegal. So sometimes just stuff that doesn't necessarily sit right with me, and it makes me rethink how much I want to consume something. So yeah, I guess that's probably one of the bigger moral stories. You just there's nothing wrong with being kind of conscious of how much of something you consume, and if it doesn't sit well with you, if you get a weird gut vibe on it, there's nothing wrong with stepping back from it a bit. But I'm pretty sure there's more that'll come out. This is probably going to be one of the biggest cases in hip hop. Hopefully hip hop unironically calms down. There's always too much going on, and a lot of it's negative. But if there's nothing else, we can move on to the next topic. Okay, salute to the Breakfast Club. Definitely salute to Ti. There was this interview that happened a few weeks ago, and it was this. It probably didn't really make that much news, which I like. My favorite kind of story. But yeah, there was this interaction during the interview with Young Dro, and Ti. For those who don't know, obviously everyone should know what Ti is, but for those who don't know, Young Dro is another Atlanta-based artist. Definitely has a long-standing relationship with Ti. And unfortunately, or for better for us to say, what they've also dealt with a lifetime of addiction and hard drug use. So obviously whenever they do modern day interviews, they kind of speak towards the battles and adversities they have to overcome, and how they did it wherever to overcome it and kind of get on a straighter and narrow, because obviously no one's perfect, a straighter and narrow path of overcoming that, and just building a better foundation for the family and the community. So yeah, all that sounds relatively positive. We love to hear comeback stories. But this interaction happened during this interview. That's kind of, I don't know. It's got really what I'm about to just ask you. What do y'all think of it, and what would y'all do? But I don't know. Maybe it's not even much of a story. But it's just kind of weird how it kind of pops off. It's kind of one of those. Oh, I remember I was gonna ask you. We'll kind of play it a bit now. Of course, it's Breakfast Club, and they have like automatic copyright on all their content, so we have to kind of take this step by step. But I will read you guys a bit of it. Heated a moment on the Breakfast Club after Young Dro opens up about going to rehab and surviving a drug overdose, and his friend K-Dub keeps laughing. So you kind of raise an eyebrow when you read that. Why is he laughing about a story about overdose and overcoming addiction? Let's see how it all plays out. We'll pause the instrumental link to keep everything kosher.
Well, I got tired of the same things, you know what I mean, over and over again, getting high and saying I'm not getting high, and repeating the same.
Man, laughing,
Lying.
laughing like hell at this man's struggle. This man talking about it real, overcoming the real struggle. This man back in that.
I was gonna ask you, because your crew just do nothing but laugh. Like even it's down, T.I.'s like, welcome to Sober Dro. Like nobody takes it serious.
But you know what though?
What you say?
A bad pill got him. He let it all go after that.
Was it a bad?
Okay, so he's talking about again overcoming. The video looks a little choppy. This is one of those things where you just listen. Don't really watch it too much. And there's always links in the description below if you do want to watch it for yourself. Probably for the choppiness. But anyway, so yeah, he starts getting into it, and there is a bit of laughter. It kind of stems back to like within your own crews. Maybe we can relate to this. Sometimes because people will know each other, there's that dynamic of like even if it's something serious, I'm gonna laugh because I just know him personally. So I guess that's kind of like the framing, which we can all understand. Everyone's kind of laughing along with it, so we kind of understand. And I think we probably got the right at just the moment, but he's even the homeboy K-Dub is even like remember that time you almost overdosed, and that's kind of a super serious topic. I guess before we move on, we all understand that concept, right? Or is anyone already offended? There's something that sound crazy from the outside perspective, but within a friend group, it's kind of like y'all do laugh at it, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I get it.
Okay. Let's keep playing.
Bad pill got him.
Actually, three.
He's telling the truth. Nah, but it was more than that. It was actually I overdosed. You feel what I'm saying? And I used this platform with the thank God to.
Man, what's wrong with you, man?
That's funny.
What's wrong with you? He laughing in the background.
Man,
that's your brother, right? That's your brother.
Crazy, man.
He's a mechanic.
K-Dub.
He's a mechanic. The mechanics always laugh at stuff.
K-Dub is a dastardly individual, man.
So and the other thing is sometimes you got that class clown of the group who just he's always gonna make a joke out of everything, and there's nothing wrong with that, right?
No, he's. I said it got to the point where I was like, okay, read the room now. Now it's like we're getting more serious. Like, come on.
Oh, well, I swear, Larry, he continues to not read the room. Play it.
So go ahead.
Nah,
So
but
you almost overdosed.
Yo, I did.
No.
You know what I mean? And all of these things happened. The overdose. My daughter was on drugs, and you know, career wise, I wasn't where I wanted to be.
What is this? What's up with your man?
Hey, you finna get slapped. No, man. I mean, we cool, but I slap the shit out you by laughing.
Oh man.
I'm just telling you, we
Hey, you
cool.
ain't gonna slap me now.
Now, what you want to do?
Hey, you ain't gonna slap me.
What you want to do?
You gonna hurt yourself?
Yeah.
Don't let him take you out of your
All right.
Sober Dro.
Come on, man.
Yeah, I'm in Bankhead though. Like,
Hey, listen. Hey, listen. Hey, both of y'all, all y'all, everybody came in this motherfucker with me. Hey, look. Everybody came in the motherfucker with me. Hey, look. Everybody came in the motherfucker with me. Hey, look. Remember who you came in and remember what we doing here, man. Come on, man. Let's get this shit together, bro. All right?
all right.
Pause it.
I'm sorry, guys.
And first of all, Dro, congratulations on being
So yeah, you basically see the escalation of it. It's like talking about my struggle. You start laughing. Talk about how I almost literally died. I mean, we're all homeboys, so yeah, he did almost die. Then he goes into the fact that his literal daughter was on drugs, and the laughter continues. So yeah, at that point we see Joe kind of get back to what he probably would do back in the day. He was like, he's about to turn up basically. Interestingly enough, even I was kind of surprised when I first watched it. I was kind of surprised about the other guy's reaction. And again, we don't know these people's relationships, but if someone's trying to check you on like making light of things, should you be getting defensive? I don't know. All things you guys can speak to. Yeah. Basically, what do y'all make of this type of situation? Like I said, I think it's relatively common or understandable how there are some people that are kind of less serious about certain things about life in general. Not life in general, but they'll be it's common for them to make light of things, for them to be the kind of the clown of the group, to make a joke out of serious things, which is definitely needed sometimes. But what do we think of a situation in which you're trying to be dead ass serious and people still kind of laughing at you? What would you take a similar approach to Joe, where you would turn up, or are you just all understanding and everything's fair and pain and war? What do you think, Ghost?
I mean, at a certain point, there is not reading the room, and then there's just a clear lack of respect once you make it clear that you're being serious and someone still wants to keep cracking jokes. So I do not fault Young Dro for. I don't know if I would have like, just for me personally, I don't know if I would have said I would have slapped him, but if I'm relaying my experiences and then like when the daughter thing specifically comes up and then still laughing, like that's when I'm gonna turn. We're gonna have words to some extent. I'm not just gonna come out swinging, but it's like,
what if he laughs at your words?
I mean, if T.I. wasn't there to defuse the situation, I feel like it could have came to blows. And I don't. Is it crazy to say sometimes you just need to fight a little?
Jesus.
You
tell me.
I would never envision one of y'all doing this. So I certainly don't plan on ever coming to blows with y'all. But if it's someone I'm less cool with, I don't know. I have like experience on a small level where people just keep provoking me because they think it's funny, even when I'm trying to be serious. Doing it literally just to get a rise out of me, which is a different situation than this is, where it seems like he just doesn't have that understanding and respect to just keep your mouth shut for a little. But I don't know. At some point, like I don't want to get into, I guess, what I would do in this exact situation, but it's just sometimes you do need to check someone and let them know that again, there's a level of respect that needs to be had, even if you if you think it's joking and jokes and all that with the other person serious. It's like if you want to keep cracking jokes and you still think it's funny, like we're not gonna be cool. Is that simple? Like I don't know. I don't know K Dub, but off of this 2 minute clip, 2 minutes, I don't want to be friends with this dude. Like, I'm cool off that. Want to chill? Like, nah, I got plans. I'm good.
Well, like I said, going back to sometimes you have a group and just that one guy in the group, you just don't take stuff seriously. Like we could be it could be at a funeral, everybody crying, and then he's the one that crack a joke like, "Well, he died the way he lived," or he just said a joke. And I think we accept people like that in society and in groups.
Yeah, I get it, and it's a time for everything. But if you don't have the social awareness and the knowledge, and again the respect to just know when to not push it, and if I'm being ultra serious with you and saying, yeah, I know you like cracking jokes, but you need to chill out now, and you're still not doing it, that just shows me that not only do you lack the common sense, just how people operate, but you don't respect what I'm telling you. So I'm not gonna be cool with you moving forward. That's the way that I look at it. It's just it gets beyond the class clown joking around. It can morph into something more serious.
Yeah, there's an argue with it, and definitely the mature approach. How about yourself, Ace? What do you think of a situation like this where you're trying to be serious, or like Go said, when if you read the room, it is a more serious tone, and somebody's getting into a serious topic of discussion, but you have the class clown group laughing, maybe even joking. Do you think you might have turned upon them, or do you think you just let them be, or something else?
Um, I think I'm pretty much in agreement with Ghost. I don't see myself coming to blows with anybody for something like this.
You almost
It
died and
would just
someone laughed at you, and you just taking it.
no, I'm not fighting. I'm not fighting somebody for something like this, but um,
What
but
if
like
what if one of your family members almost died and they laughing at you?
Yeah, we're talking about his daughter.
I'm not fighting somebody. I'm not fighting. What I am doing is like Go said, we're definitely not cool after that point, especially if I make it clear, especially if I try to draw the line and make it clear, like, listen, I'm being serious. There's no reason to be laughing anymore. Like, stop laughing. And they still keep laughing. Like, that's when I draw the line where we're not cool anymore. Like, that's it. Um, whatever interaction, like this interview, for example, that we're trying to be serious about and have real discussion about, you're gonna sour the mood. Maybe I'm gonna quit the interview. um like that would be more so my reaction as opposed to fighting somebody. um but yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's much more to say other than that. I can completely understand, um obviously, the the issue here, like, and I guess I can also understand, somebody being like, or I should say in the beginning when the dude initially started laughing, like I could understand where that could be taken. The statement could be taken as humorous, where it's like, yeah, you did, there were those times where you would, you say you weren't high, you were high. There's like, I can see how somebody would find the levity in that, but clearly, like when the dude started talking about his daughter, like I don't, there's there's no there's no excuse in my mind as far as continuing to not take the thing seriously. um and yeah, that, I mean, that's my thoughts. It's not deep. That's just my thoughts.
Yeah. Y'all know I will definitely come on here and try to play laughing devil's advocate, but I really don't see a world in which when a brother's talking about his little child almost dying, uh, I'm gonna laugh. Like I don't know, I really don't see the inside joke for that one. Um, yeah, I think the biggest moral story is you definitely have to know when to read the room, and obviously there are some conversations and dialogues that are happening, which you know, even if you are a more lighthearted person, you definitely have to um, be aware of how other people would perceive your laughter or your jokes, and you have to move as such. So I don't think that's anything too deep, like you said, to try to wrap your brain around. If you can't, then you got to be prepared for people to just not want to associate or distance themselves for you, or even I guess because we're not from Buckhead, Atlanta, or wherever brother's from, you might have to be prepared for somebody to swing on you. And like 9 times out of 10, it's not worth losing a relationship over a joke or a laugh. So you got to move accordingly. So, but with that being said, though, and I only kind of even slightly get into this because I'm one of the most transparent people ever. I feel as if out of a lot of people I know, I might be the type to laugh in a situation where other people aren't laughing. And I'm trying to think of like a low key example that's kind of still on the same vibe. I remember one time, so it was to Wes hit my car, and like I definitely I died laughter. What do you mean you hit the car? What the? I'm trying to think. I kind of think of another example where I might have did a little laughing, and if I really did laugh, I don't want to bring it up. It was way, way, way back.
Did it involve one of us?
No.
Oh, okay.
But it was somebody at Sabbath service.
Oh, now I definitely gotta hear this.
I can
I'm racking
like
my
I'm
brain.
starting to think of some stuff now. Yeah.
It's really if you know, you know, and I'm not gonna. I'm transparent, but I'm not stupid.
Come on.
But maybe that was maybe I can blame that was my.
So you just gonna a random reference you're not even gonna explain.
Well, I mean,
after the pod. It's one of the after the pod.
I don't know. I don't know if I'll even say it after. Because if
so why bring it? No, this is my.
All right. I'll calm down. I understand. The thing is, I just gotta be mindful of how I say. Because if it was really what I'm thinking of, and I did actually take it kind of lighthearted, it kind of sucks. One of the associates in our group, their family may or may not have been going through something. Or one of the I don't want to say children because they were like damn near like maybe 17 or 18 at the time. But one of the daughters was going through something, and I think I might have made light of it.
Oh, well, that's not what I was thinking of. But
what were you thinking of?
Maybe this is after the pod. I mean, it's not even that serious. I don't feel like divulging it on the pod.
Fair enough. If we can keep it vague, just keep it pushing. But yeah. Yeah, I guess I say that and it kind of told myself to say, I get the brother. There's some things where like, hey man, if I'm gonna laugh, if I want to laugh, I'm gonna laugh. And even though he was in the wrong, he was ready to stand on business, which shows when maybe he doesn't really value that relationship that much. But two, he is so there's some people out there that they're, hey man, I'm gonna do me, and if anyone tries to stop me, I'm gonna stand on it, which is I don't know if it's admirable, but it's definitely something.
Not at all.
That's literally the opposite of admirable. That's the type of person I do not want to I don't want to have any type of relationship with that person.
Exactly.
That sounds like a dreadful experience to be around someone like that.
I don't know. But if there's nothing else, we can move on to the next topic. So, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the Jerrod Carmichael show on HBO or Max or whatever it is at this point. Where it kind of goes into, where it's kind of is really just his life. It's real deal life. I think one of the most viral clips that came out of it is when he had that weird interaction with Tyler the Creator, where he was like, "Hey, I want to be with you," and Tyler, as awkward as Tyler the Creator, not is, but the portrayal of Tyler the Creator, he took exactly like how, you take it when one of your literal friends says they're attracted to you. It was that whole weird like, so you want to get something to eat, and they try to kind of just Euro step past it and move on.
He said this. He did this live on.
Yeah,
I think I might have seen a clip.
Yeah, that was on the show. But I just bring that up if anyone needs something to call back to. Again, if you haven't seen that, then you probably haven't seen this. But yeah, so maybe I should even step back. So Jerrod Carmichael is a relatively famous comedian. He's definitely I'm so far removed from stand up in comics. I don't know what kind of brand of humor you would say he specializes in. Maybe that self-deprecating more so. I guess that's how you classify it. But obviously he's went on to be relatively successful. He actually had his own sitcom on NBC. So definitely a well-known and established individual in their own right. Yeah. So now they're doing. Sorry, I'm alming too much. So now they're doing a reality TV show. It's not a reality TV show. It's just a show about their life. Obviously, yeah. I mean, this title this little caption gives a good representation. In the HBO series, Jerrod Carmichael reality TV show, the comedian takes us on a very uncomfortable journey through his insecurities and questionable choices. So obviously, like with most comedians, is definitely, I don't want to say with most comedians, with a lot of comedians, there's a lot of struggle in their come up, and also you have the elements that he's into same-sex relationships and all this other jazz. So he definitely has a lot going on in his life. So one of the plots of the show that gained some attention was the fact that, with a person that's going through struggles in his life, and especially with that type of plight, if you want to say that's a plight, he didn't have the most comfortable relationship, the most comfortable or endearing relationship with his pops growing up. And in the show, obviously, if he's breaking down every aspect of his life, obviously, it makes sense that he would confront his parents live in front of the world to show. And I think this little video from the Root, Solicited Root, kind of gives a better breakdown than I could give. So I guess we'll play that. Hopefully they're not uber big on copywriting.
Hey now, listen.
Get ratings and views on his reality show. Is that what he did?
I always wanted my father to be proud of me. What do you do? I'm a good driver. I'm just not like a good turner.
I've never seen a reality show that seems hell-bent on destroying the image of the person whom it's about. I did this piece because the most.
The only truth in Rome is
Dang,
I own you.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, bear with us.
This is wild.
We don't got the app.
We're gonna get copyright strike by Gladiator.
There's no way you get copyrighted for an ad. I don't know. You have to watch the entire ad. There's no skip. Jesus Christ, I'm there. Off the edges.
Yep.
Off the edges. So.
Most recent episode, kind of struck a chord with me because, Carmichael convinced his, older black father to take a road trip down to his hometown with him. This road trip seemed to be designed to trick his father, his name is Joe Carmichael, into having difficult conversations about things he went through in his upbringing, stuff that Jerrod still seems to be pretty salty about.
Rome has taken everything
Oh, this is crazy.
from me, but I will have my vengeance.
Reacted like someone died. It hurt my feelings. Mom basically said I was going to hell.
100% I think he's exploiting his dad, because I don't have a problem with you having conversations about things, that, harm you. I think a lot of people, when they see their parents get older, they want to have conversations about things that, unresolved questions, open wounds. You want to.
It is an art, choosing gladiators.
We can pause. I think that kind of captures what we're talking about here. So yeah, like the brother was saying, in the show, Jerrod Carmichael is interacting with his parents, pretty much a lot of people in his life, but specifically his parents for that particular episode, and using this as an opportunity to explore some things from the past that are unresolved. It sounds again, the sexuality is one of the big point of contention, as it tends to be with some people. But all that specific elements aside, I think one thing that is worth a conversation is, what do you think of when people confront their parents, or in a sense kind of force them to have some of these uncomfortable conversations, and especially if it's more in a more exposing manner. What do you think of that? Do you think when it comes to parents, and I guess maybe people in general, it does warrant moving about it with a certain level of grace, or do you think that your traumas and your feelings on some things are your own, and you have every right to express them and go about them, however you feel inclined to. Obviously, in the on the premise of like nothing crazy, like you're not harming anybody, but the way you are confronting them is a bit forceful. And we had conversations about like that dynamic with people and their parents, and like how they approach their parents of things that they feel like their parents might have messed up. So yeah, maybe just an updated version of that conversation. I'm just kind of curious to know what you guys think of having a tough conversation with parents, and do you believe there's a certain way that should look, or do you think everyone's entitled to address that how they see fit? What do you think, Ace?
I don't know. I mean, as long as the parent is aware that you're going to be filming a conversation with them, I don't really have an issue with it, especially if, yeah, I don't have an issue with it at all, because even if you decide you want to ask some whatever hard-boiled question or whatever, the parent can just opt not to continue the conversation. Like, not.
What if they agree to it, but they were fully signing on to?
Who cares? This is just they're not imprisoned. Like, they can stop talking. I don't see the.
I think like the issue could. What if they are in the interest of like having a conversation and resolving things, but once we get down to like the way it's being either discussed and or exposed or promoted, like yeah, what if it did come down to like some things that you would rather not have other people know about get exposed?
And Yeah, the parent says that and discontinues the conversation. Again, like they're
What
not.
if it already comes out? What if the first question is, "Hey, you remember this time you did this thing to me?"
They could have said that without the parent there. You can't control what somebody's gonna say about at
This is
all.
true.
Like the parent can control what the kid is gonna say, whether they're there or not.
This is
So
true.
yeah, I don't really see the.
Fair enough. What if it is a matter of like the parent just want to have a conversation, try to resolve things, but once they see the direction in which it's going, they want to have it a private, but the child doesn't want to move it to private.
I mean, it depends on what the parent wants to do at that point. If they like, yeah, it just depends on what they want to do. If they're like, well, I don't want to continue, then I don't want to continue. Stop the conversation.
You don't think there are some conversations that are meant for a more private setting?
I think, yeah, I do think there are.
So
And I mean, so I wouldn't like.
but a parent
fault
isn't wrong to request that.
The parent isn't wrong to request that. No, of course not. What? A parent is definitely okay to request to have a conversation in a private setting.
Okay. But what if the child is like, no, I want it all to be out there.
Then, like I said, it's up to the parent if they want to try to continue the conversation to hopefully see if they can bridge this gap with the child, or if the privacy is more important to the parent. It's up to them to be like, but I do not want to continue this discussion in public for everybody to hear. So, I guess we're gonna stop this discussion here. Like, it's up to the parent.
Fair enough. I guess you are putting the onus on everybody who's taking part of it. I think there could be a world in which somebody has genuine desires to resolve. They just don't like the medium or platform in which it's being conveyed. But people feel guilted into acquiescing. Like I'm pretty sure once you do get more to the episode and you view it, there is periods where the father is generally a bit off put by the manner of the way the conversation is going, the fact that it is on a public platform. But you can tell that there is still a desire to try to hash things out. So I guess.
I
So
mean,
that's
I
what.
guess I can, yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I can kind of understand that. Then I can kind of understand it. It's just like at the end of the day, I'm still not gonna view the dad as like a victim or something like that. Like, unless unless it was a hidden camera. That's the only thing. Like, unless he's just completely unaware that he's having the conversation in public, I'm gonna be hard pressed to just completely saw that he's a victim. Like,
Yeah, no, I get that. That actually makes a lot of sense. How about you, Ghost? Do you have any differing thoughts on it? Do you think it's how should I say, a bit unacceptable to try to force your parent, or I guess maybe anybody, into having a conversation in the way that you want if you're trying to hash things out? Or do you think you do have to, if you want to resolve things, you have to do it in a certain way? Or do you think you have a right to expose things and have a conversation the way you wish you want?
This is kind of the way I answer, I guess, is not. It is for me. The parent has no bearing on it. This could be a conversation with literally anybody,
Mm-hmm.
a literal stranger. But in general, I
You're
think
probably not gonna have a
that
deep, in-depth conversation with a stranger, but I see your point.
yeah, I just feel like this type of media, this type of video where you're having these deep, in-depth discussions, discussing with anyone, it's honestly, I think it's pathetic because you're
here we
that
go.
desperate.
Here we go.
You're that desperate for views to get your show up and running, for discussion for people to make videos like this about, I guess, that you're willing to air out again your family business, which is private. I don't know any details or whatever they were specifically going through, but it's stuff that I would say why does the world need to know, but people apparently care about this stupid shit for some reason. I just think it's I wouldn't go as far like I don't think that the father in the vein of what you were saying, Ace, I don't think the father is the victim necessarily. Are if you know you're being recorded, you know that your son has this show and you know that people might see it, you can take steps to say, nah, I don't turn off the camera, we can discuss it off air. You can do that. And if you still choose to answer, even if you are feeling uncomfortable, the onus then is on you, and you can feel however you want about it. But at the end of the day, you answered, so
Nobody's ever guilted y'all into anything.
not guilting me to do some stupid shit on camera that I don't want to do.
Oh.
Okay.
No.
I mean,
No, I got
yeah, I
one.
guess there is that aspect of, yeah, you can be guilted into stuff, but you were at a later point. But I don't know. I just the exploitation thing. I think that label's a little far, but this exploitation thing is kind of like irrelevant for me because I just harken back on how stupid and pathetic it is to have the need to have this conversation that you've never had before on camera for these random people to see it. It's sad, and I don't think I have anything else productive to say about this. I don't like reality TV and stuff like this in general. I think the main reason why I don't like this is because it feels manufactured, and I don't know if inauthentic is the right word, because maybe at the end of the day there are truths that are coming out, but the fact that you have to go about it in a manner like this where it's all dramatized and publicized for everyone to see for the sole purpose of, at the end of the day, making money, really what it boils down to. It's sad.
So, well, your thoughts on that are actually completely unwarranted. I think probably a lot of people would agree with you. I think it can be reasoned that there is value, non-malicious or capitalist value in broadcasting your lifetime to the world. I think the biggest
I'm gonna need you to play devil's advocate on that, and
I think the biggest thing that people point to is that through viewing how you know have gone through your struggle and overcame them, that can help out another person that's going through something similar. See how you maneuver that situation. I think a lot of times the reason why, well, to be honest, I don't want to kind of step ahead of myself, but I think a lot of times why families or people in general don't know how to have productive conversations and conflict resolution is because they don't know what that looks like. So if this show or if somebody's show did broadcast that or showcase that, I think that would be incredibly beneficial. I think when it comes to having conversations that are, relatively in depth, and maybe even challenging, I think sometimes having it on recorded is beneficial, just so we can kind of like, hey, like this is what I'm trying to illustrate, and this is how you're reacting, and like look at like if you see that or if you hear that bar for bar, it kind of would give you a different perspective. So obviously, maybe one could make the case that it's more of an extreme thing, but I think that does serve a purpose in some cases. So yeah, I think there are definitely cases to be made about having this in a recording setting or even a broadcasted setting does benefit not just presenting the conversation or broadcasting it, but also others as well. Um, Obviously there's ways in which it can be exploited or taken advantage of. This, somebody could just be doing this for their own personal gain and they don't really care about how it makes other people look or maybe even how it makes themselves look. But I think there could be. I don't necessarily think there was inherent negative intention going in something like this and going to something like this in general. But it's just the way it manifests itself that it could take a turn.
Yeah, I'll just say I agree there. I think we already had or ran into a similar um discussion with the logic thing where
Oh yeah.
I don't think assuming every time that this happens that it's purely for monetary gain is necessarily correct. Like the intention or part of the intention can 100% be to um to to allow others to see somebody go through something that you're going through and see that it is possible to get through it and see how you could potentially approach the same thing.
That's a good
So
callback.
yeah,
It's actually very akin to the logic in his father's conversation.
right. And yeah, one thing I will say about being guilted into something, I did have one when I was like in college, I think. I was walking up to Barnes and Noble and there was a news crew outside the front door, and they asked me if I wanted to talk, and it was just like kind of a it was because it was so spur of the moment. Like my intention, because I saw them there, my intention was to say no, but for some reason when they asked me, I was like, sure. I don't know why, but it just like
The heck?
it's not like necessarily intimidation or anything like that. It's just I don't know, nerves or whatever.
Did they guilt you, or
Didn't want to
did you
disappoint
just
them.
get caught up in the moment?
Yeah,
Sound
more
like you
so caught
wanted
up in the
your 30
moment.
seconds of fame.
No, not really, because I didn't want to be on. I didn't want to like. There was nothing that they could have asked me about that I necessarily wanted to talk about on national television, or not national television, but
What did they
local
ask you about? Do you
news or
remember?
whatever. It was yes, it was like some political question about I think
Politics.
it was healthcare. I think it was something related to healthcare, and I don't remember what exactly I said, but like after that happened, maybe a couple days later, dad asked me if I was on the news because like one of his friends told him about it, and I was like, yeah, I don't know. They asked me about some healthcare stuff, and I just rambled some nonsense. I don't because I don't remember what it was, but it was definitely something I didn't know about. Um, but the point is that like even if they had like uh um not necessarily pushed me to do it, but encouraged me to do it, I would still take that like the blame is still on me for agreeing to it. Um so yeah, I like just circling back to this actual conversation. I for the most part I'm not gonna put the blame on somebody who agreed to doing something um if they weren't like tricked into it or something like that. Like you have the ability to disagree or to not agree.
So what are you saying? If somebody walks up on you with a camera crew and they want to have a private in-depth conversation, you're gonna be more inclined to say yes.
No, I mean this was when I was younger, but
Fair enough.
yeah,
Um,
that was the example.
Apologies if we kind of cut you off, Ghost. Or did you have anything else?
Nothing positive, so no.
Fair enough. I don't know if we're only here to be specifically positive only, but yeah, I definitely think like I was kind of saying earlier, like with many things, it's definitely context based. I think there's a world in which certain conversations um would have some level of benefit from being broadcasted to a certain extent. I think we in general do vie for everyone needs to be accountable for their own decisions. At the end of the day, we're all grown ass men and grown ass women. If no one can force you to do anything, obviously there are scenarios in which people try to guilt you into something, and I could easily imagine, like in this type of environment, if the cameras are already rolling and you already agreed to this, like it'd be kind of sus if you try to back out now. Like that would make the situation look weirder, especially if you are of the mindset of which you want to mend a relationship or which you want to resolve an issue. So I think you do have to, like you said, you do have to weigh your feelings towards that, towards like the way in which the person that wants to confront you wants to resolve it. I mean, I guess on like on a smaller level, like imagine a world in which someone's trying to hash out an issue with them, an issue with you, but they say, "Hey, I want to have this conversation with like a counselor, or I want to have this conversation with a third party." But in your mind, you wanted to just keep it like between you and that person. Like, I don't know, would your desire to want to resolve that be greater than their request to resolve it the way they want? So I guess there's different ways this could manifest itself. But it's probably like I was saying, a context thing. What you have to assess it and assess how you truly feel about these things. Yeah, I would say it doesn't just. I don't want to hard focus on this particular story, but I don't think there's too many ways in which you could full on exploit your parent unless like you said, they were unaware of the fact this would be filmed. But if they agree to it, then they do have to live with what comes out of that conversation. But in general, you should probably, if you're really in the mindset of resolving things, you should try to create an environment which people can resolve. People really suck at conflict resolution. That's what I've come to learn as I've gotten older. Oh yeah, the last thing that kind of comes to my mind regarding this, I obviously don't know Jerrod Carmichael all too well, and I definitely don't know his family. But one of these days, and obviously I'm not making excuses, but we do have to accept that some of our older parents, especially if they're immigrants or whatever the case may be, some of these issues we try to approach them with, they don't really care. No, they don't care. Just that it's just like it's that you can't teach your dog new tricks like mentality. It's just like some of our parents are just stuck in their ways, and like you can always voice your opinion and your thoughts, but is it gonna reach them to much of a magnitude? Like you're not you're not gonna convince your parents to change their beliefs or their political views. That's just it. If you got a racist granny, a racist old auntie, they're not changing. But I digress. Yeah, if there's nothing else, we can. I think that's the last thing, so we can wrap it up. So, nice, we got through the topics, but we do have a couple of rest and powers to dole out. A couple of things to get off our hearts, to get off our chests.
Hold up, was there more? Oh, there's a Joe Budden thing that you linked, but I don't know if you want to go through.
Oh, that was just if we did more context. They basically had a similar conversation. You can pull it up and if you want to, and we can hit like the first couple seconds of it. But it was basically that conversation of one of the hosts felt as Jerrod Carmichael was exploiting his parent, and he was strong against it.
Okay, no, we're good. That's basically what this guy was saying. I think we got all our information here.
Yeah, pull up those links real quick. Oh man, it feels like every day we lose a new legend. Although salute to Joey Badass, legends never die. So, in case you haven't heard, rest in power to DJ Clark Plant. Shows born in 1966. Definitely, passed away too early. And his family or his estate put out a message. It's with deep sadness that we share the passing of the beloved. Damn, his real name. DJ Clark Clint, known to the world as DJ Clark Clint. Clark passed away Thursday evening, surrounded by his devoted wife, Keisha, daughter, and his son. Clark quietly and valiantly fought a 3-year battle with colon cancer while continuing to share his gifts with the world. His family is grateful for everyone's love, support, and prayers during this time and ask for privacy as they process this immense loss. And they definitely deserve it. Definitely condolences to his family. And again, rest in power to Clark Kent. Definitely a historic DJ and producer in the hip hop community. And his contributions will never, ever be forgotten. And that's the power of being a legend. Another, what the? How was I able to pull it up?
Well, you get a certain number of views.
Fair enough.
I might.
I'll still link it, but maybe just a general, web search. Rest in power to Ka, one of the literal, probably dopest rappers of. I mean, he's been rapping for a while. Dopest artists of like the last decade and plus. Just such a phenomenally lyrical artist that we've definitely came on here and consumed. There it is. Also, it's the New York Times. Ka, a lone soldier of New York's underground rap scene, dies at 52. The rapper, whose birth name was Kasim Ryan, I hope I'm saying that right, self-produced 11 albums while also maintaining a career with the New York Fire Department. I don't know if anyone knew that, but this brother was also literally helping people, saving lives and just being a productive member of the community.
He helped. I think I saw he helped during 9/11. Like,
man, now that's a career in the hip hop space. Yeah, truly unfortunate. We were literally bumping his music literally this year, as far as new music and new projects. Yeah, they were definitely tremendously hardworking and successful as far as music wise artist, and it's definitely unfortunate again too soon. And like they definitely been around for a while, so they definitely left their mark on the culture and on the genre. So definitely rest in power. They definitely won't be forgotten in any shape or form. But there's nothing else. Okay. So like we always do, salute to y'all. Thank you guys for coming here and doing this podcast thing. Slowly but surely, we continue to, well, I don't know, I was gonna say increase the quality, but increase the show's worth. I'll say that. And we appreciate any and all listeners, supporters, just people that tune in or provide comments. We greatly appreciate y'all, and we hope that through listening to our content, consumer our content, you get a new perspective, or you learn something new. Like if you are in the California public school departments, you better make sure you got that QR code app booted up whenever you go to the bathroom. Or we just hope that you found some training. But if none of that happened for you, then all we have to say to you is be warmed and be filled. Thank you. Okay, 2:30. Not the time, but as far as the length. Not too bad.